All right, we are live on Halftime Hits, brought to you by Broadway Sports Media. You can check us out at BroadwaySportsMedia.com. You can check me out at JB on Broad. Check out Ryan here, my co-host, at Ryan on Broadway. Make sure you check out the new swag for the Coach's Corner, which debuts live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Here to talk about, and before I get there, actually, if you need to, switch over to the YouTube channel or Facebook so you can join in some of the conversation here. Twitter is doing Twitter things, not allowed to do that. So if you're on Twitter, glad to have you watching, but you're not gonna be able to join in on the chat. So switch over to one of those channels. So Ryan, let's talk about it and talk about the fact that, I have joke of the week here. The Titans have been the joke of the week. They've actually stepped up tonight, and you don't have a lot to complain about.
No, not a lot to complain about other than outside of Ryan Tannehill has not been sharp tonight. But let's start defensively. I thought defense played outside of the last play. That was bad, and we'll get there because I think you have some thoughts on that. But they've played really well. They've kept a lot of things in front of them. They've kept the Bills contained. They've made them work for it. I had typed up here, no big plays, great. And then that last thing happened 50 seconds to go in the half. So obviously that's not great. Jenkins, I don't know if he misunderstood the coverage or misread it, but you can't do that when you're doing an invert cover two or any kind of cover two when you're doing that. So not a great end there, but let's focus on the positives. The Titans were able to get to Allen on defense. The pass rush is able to get them disrupted. They caused an interception. They're making it uncomfortable. And he's a talented quarterback. He's got some talented receivers. He's going to make plays like that, especially if you blow the coverage. But the pass rush is getting there. Autry's getting to him. Landry. David Long has been phenomenal tonight. All 22 will probably say that he read stuff wrong and did things, but man, he's been all over popping people. He had the dumb penalty, but man, has he been really active tonight.
Look, I mean, everybody's going to be mad at Jackrabbit Jenkins here. That's a tough play, ultimately. I don't like the call. I know that they run a lot of invert cover two quite a bit, but that's a hard place to put a guy that is at towards the end of his career. The athleticism is not going to be there quite as much. You're sticking with their number one receiver. Good call by Daboll for one thing, but at the same time, I don't like the call overall because ultimately, when you talk about what the weakness of a cover two defense, even if you're not inverting it, it's going to be that deep outside throw because it's a lot of area for that safety to cover. And the fact that you're putting a guy that typically plays corner in that position to also have to make that judgment, that's asking a lot right there. And ultimately, look, they blitzed on it. They tried to get extra pressure. They didn't get Allen down, and that's where Allen can take advantage of it. So, could Jackrabbit play that play better? Absolutely. But at the same time, that's asking a lot of him. So I don't have a ton of complaints about Jackrabbit on that play. Let's talk about then, what we've kind of seen. And I know we typically flip over to the defense, but I want to talk mostly about the injuries and how they've been piling up. We all know we've seen the Titans injury report they've had over the last couple of weeks where it looks like just half the roster out there. But on this one, the problem is that if you have half your roster on your injury report, it means that your guys are still maybe going to play. You've had possibly 3 major injuries tonight.
Major.
When you look at that, Ryan, what are you thinking about that?
Well, first, I know a whole lot of people know my past. Anytime I see anything, it could be a neck or head injury that speaks to me because of something happened in my past. So, and Lewan being one of my, favorite players, watching the Titans over the past few years and the offensive line and all that stuff. I just right now, life is kind of bigger than football sometimes. So I'm just hoping for a good result back from him, and all tests come back negative, then he's able to walk away from this. I mean, quite literally, that's scary to see them put him on the board. But back to football, you're losing your left tackle. So Lamb, you don't know what you've got in him because he was only in for one, maybe 2 plays there at the end before the touchdown. So not really a sustained drive, not have to put any pressure on him. So that's a concern going into the second half as well. And then you lose your returner in Batson. So someone unproven is going to have to do, not unproven, but someone else who has not been catching kicks in the past 5-6 games is now going to have to come out and do that. So that's a concern as well. And you're already kind of thin at that corner spot. You got one corner who's blew a coverage and you have a concern over there. Now you lose Farley as well to what looks like a knee injury. Who knows what that is? He's not coming back either. So you're wearing kind of thin in some important spots with Lawan Farley, especially in Batson. Return game is important. Just
No,
he
it's
made
not.
a heck of a play. Do what?
I said no, it's not. But continue.
No, I mean, as far as like when he made the heck of a play of the just catching the ball and not letting it go past, now you're going to put someone out there who hasn't been catching those. That's a concern because now the one thing you want to do, like you say, is catch it, catch the return, and just secure it. And so now you got to do that. So it's definitely concerns, but they've been playing tough. These guys just have to step up now. I mean, that's your NFL players. That's what you're paid to do. I mean, that's what the catch or the cliche thing to say is, right?
No, it absolutely is. Let's talk about the defense then and what you've kind of seen out of the defense. For me, ultimately, this is something where the defense has really stepped up, even though they've allowed 20 points. I think there have been a couple of plays here or there, but you've had turnovers you've had to deal with. This is something, though, that I don't feel like the defense has played terribly bad against possibly the best offense in the NFL. There are some things there when you talk about the injuries they're dealing with now, down Farley and Fulton. You're down two of your top three outside corners. You have Chris Jackson playing outside corner right here. I think this is where, as you move, and I know you can give some thoughts on the defense, but as we move to the second half, this is really where the Titans offense needs to take over, and specifically the run game. You have got to be able to give your defense a rest and keep them off the field a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And switching over to offense, I've already given my thoughts on defense. They just need to keep playing. That's my thought. Just keep playing. Find ways to keep slow the Bills down and get some stops on third down like you have been. Offensively, that 75 plus yard run was fantastic and it's exciting. I as much as I take three more of those, and I will. Don't get me wrong. I'd like to see them sustain some drives, get some chunk runs, and be able to keep the Bills on the side, the Bills offense on the sideline to give your defense even more breaks. So especially with some of these unproven starters in rotating in, and these down linemen and outside linebackers who are playing really well, outside linebackers, I said, or who are playing really well in David Long, give them some rest so they can continue to be fresh and continue to really take it to the Bills. But they got to sustain the drives, and on top of keeping that run game going and fresh, Tannehill has to become sharper. He had a bad first half. I know he's got the rushing touchdown, but he missed some easy throws. He threw behind Julio on one. He's just got to become a little sharper and hit some of those easy, take those intermediate throws that are there, because he missed Brown on that interception. Brown was wide open for the first down at the very least, and that's what they have to just kind of get in the mind frame. Is the big plays are great, but we have to sustain some drives here if you're thinking about for the Titans offense.
Well, and I think this is the game. I know a lot of people don't like those first down runs. It's predictable, but I really feel like they need to get back into that. They really need to lean on their run game here in the second half. They got to give their defense a rest, and I think frankly, this has been Tannehill's worst game of the season. That includes the Cardinals game. That includes any other game that has been out there. This has so far been his least sharp game of the entire season. And sometimes players are going to have an off game. You got to be able to pick them up. And I know, you lost Lawan right there, but you got to lean on Henry. You've got to be able to sustain some drives. Look, an 11, 12 play drive here would be a godsend if they can get a stop. Even if they don't get a stop, getting an 11, 12 play drive with it ends in a touchdown to keep it within 3 in that situation would be great, because otherwise what's going to happen, because the Bills have run so many plays, although the defense has played well, the second half will be a sieve because they're going to get tired.
Right.
You've got to come up with some big plays, and they've already come up with 2 turnovers, but you have to keep the foot on the gas here if you're the offense. And I mean that unlike any other offense in the NFL, I mean that by turning around and handing the ball off.
Which is odd, right? But I mean, that's the recipe for this offense and for what they need to do.
Yeah, and it helps what your defense is doing, a defense that now has become riddled by injuries at a very key spot. The inside linebackers have been a problem all season. They're going to continue to be a problem all season. So you've got to be able to give your outside corners a little bit of help, and in that situation, it's keeping the ball out of the hands of the Bills.
Right, and plus make the Bills run
the run game.
Make the Bills run the ball. Make them commit to that. Make it a hard decision for them. But that's the thing too, is that sorry, I see all this thing cut Jenkins. I get it. The emotions there. He's had some bad plays this year, but with Farley being injured and Fulton out for this game, you can't lose a body in the secondary, because then I don't think y'all are going to like who they're going to roll out there as a tandem on the outside.
Well, and also I will say this. I know that I'm the DB's coach, DB apologist here, but at the same time, Jenkins had the bad play, that one bad play. Beyond that, Man's flying around for a 33-year-old dude. Trust me, as a 33-year-old dude, I mean that dude is flying around. He's coming up and making hits. He had the bad play, but I don't think he's put in the greatest position. If you told me that I'm seeing that Stephon Diggs is running a post pattern and I have Cole Beasley running a wheel route on the outside, I'm probably going to be tempted to stick with Stephon Diggs right there. And I get that, when you play your concept, that's a tough position to be in when you have a too high concept, when you have two attacking your zone, one to the inside, one to the outside. That's a tough position to be in. So, I mean, it's one thing where, yeah, you can go after Jenkins. Has he had some bad plays this season? Sure. Is he a shutdown corner? No. Is he in his prime? Absolutely not. But he has not been the liability the last couple of weeks that I think everybody's writing him up to be. And you guys come after me at this point because I'm defending him.
Burn the witch.
Yeah, who you putting out there at this point? You putting Breon Borders
that's
out there?
my point. Is it's going to be a bad tandem at that point. You just have to get through this game. No more injuries. Keep things in front. Play smart and go after the Bills. Keep that intensity up because on defense, that's what's keeping them in this game is the intensity in which they're going after Josh Allen. It's a flashing shirt.
That is a nice shirt. So as we wrap up for the evening, make sure you check out BroadwaySportsMedia.com. As you can see, we have lots of good both content and memorabilia. You can check out shop.broadwaysportsmedia.com. I am modeling it myself. It looks great on me if I do say so myself. Shirts. It does look great. But enjoy the second half. As always, you can find me at JB on Broad. You can find Ryan at Ryan on Broadway. You can check us all out at BroadwayTN. And until next time. And I think there is going to be a post-game show, right?
Possibly.
Somebody's going to show up.
Somebody will be
wide-eyed, just wide awake, ready to roll, whatever the outcome.
Yep.
So make sure you tune in. Until then, thank you for joining in for the Halftime Hits.